All right, let's settle for the details here on the pulse. My name is Elton Brobe, and this afternoon, let me take you to Parliament, where the ruling National Democratic Congress made history by securing a supermajority in Parliament following the swearing-in of the Ablekuma North Member of Parliament, Ewurabena Aubynn, despite a dramatic walkout by the NPP MPs protesting the process. The constituency had been without representation for 7 months due to a legal dispute. Nearly 2 weeks ago, the Electoral Commission held a rerun in 19 polling centers, which saw the NDC Ewurabena Aubynn defeat the NPP's Nana Akua-Addo. Here's what happened when the minority attempted to halt the swearing-in process.
We in the minority want to make a quick comment, before the member-elect is sworn in, and I seek your indulgence to do this quickly before, with the greatest of respect, before the member-elect is sworn in, if you may.
Are there legal objections that he intends to raise? What is that? And I don't think that we even want to hear what it is now. We are happy to hear it after the process is consummated. After the process is consummated. So I urge the Chief Whip on the Minority Whip to hold his fire. If he could not arrest anything at the Electoral Commission and could not arrest it at the police station, it is not here this morning that he's going to be able to arrest anything. So I beg you, Mr. Chief Whip, Whip of the minority side, please hold your fire. Let the Speaker swear in the young lady. I know you didn't take her phone number. You can get it afterwards. And then we can have the opportunity to make our normal ceremonial speeches and comments. So I beg you, let's not drag this matter. Let's have the swearing in, and then we can move to comments that both sides of the House may make.
Speaker, I will forever respect you. And the leader also knows that Order 5 is not in ambiguity. It's clear. And those powers of the Speaker cannot be challenged by the majority leader. Speaker, I seek your leave to make a plenary comment, and then I think we can go ahead and do the swearing in. Speaker, I'm at your discretion, and I seek your blessing as a father of this House to give me the opportunity to make a short comment.
Right, so the minority then decided they would not be part of the process, but it will go ahead anyway. And the Member of Parliament elect is now the substantive Member of Parliament for the Ablekuma North constituency. The minority, they decided to walk out. This is how they did it on the floor.
Speaker, I'm very sorry, and I say there's a lot of difficulty that if that is the turn of event, then we in the minority, for the records, cannot be part of the swearing in. Yes, we cannot be part of the swearing in. As a result, we are working on it. And this one is specific to the swearing in. Other businesses will engage in it.
Well, so it became a one-sided House, but despite this walkout by the minority side, the Member of Parliament elect was sworn in and she took her seat.
So she will swear the oath of a Member of Parliament first. And you start with your surname and then the other names. So you say after me, I,
Aubynn Ewurabena,
having been elected a member of Parliament,
having been elected a member of Parliament,
do in the name of the Almighty God swear
do in the name of the Almighty God swear
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana,
as by law established,
that I will uphold,
preserve,
protect,
and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana,
and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana,
and that I will faithfully
and conscientiously
discharge the duties of a member of Parliament. So help me God.
So help me God.
So minus Akwetia, we have the full composition of Parliament in Ghana. Akwetia is awaiting a parliamentary by-election because of the demise of the Member of Parliament for that particular constituency. Now, beyond the walkout, what does her warning mean in terms of the work of Parliament and the numbers on both sides? What does it mean for the work of Parliament? Now, let me bring in lead data and research analyst Isaac Kofi to help us understand what this is all about as we talk about a supermajority. Kofi, so let's talk politics and let's talk about numbers. Give us the composition in terms of numbers on the floor of Parliament.
In fact, Ewurabena Aubynn swearing in changes the dynamics of Parliament. And before the rerun of the 19 polling stations, the big number we're all focusing on was 184, because that gives you 2/3 majority, supermajority in Parliament. And many have said that, well, but the NDC already has supermajority because the 4 independent candidates or independent members of Parliament had already said that they were going to do business with the NDC.
Right.
But in fact, because of what happened in 2021 in the election of Speaker Aubynn, if you are looking for people of your own, you need to be very organic. And so the NDC simply wanted a supermajority that was very organic. And so the math was as it's either they win Ablekuma North or try to possibly get Akwetia. But they've managed to win Ablekuma North and she's been sworn in, which means that this will be the current makeup of Parliament minus Akwetia, which is currently the only outstanding constituency that doesn't have a member of Parliament. So as it stands now, Elton, you already know this, the NDC, 184 members of Parliament, with the MPP being reduced from 88. Now we are talking about 87 members of Parliament for the MPP minority, 4 independent candidates, and that is the current makeup of Parliament. But this is not just the game of numbers. It means a lot in parliamentary.
Of course, it does, because I mean, if you look at Parliament, for example, in terms of sitting, you need 1/3 of all members to be present to form a quorum for the House to sit. You need 2/3 to take major decisions, including approval of loans, budget, even in terms of constitutional amendments.
Taxes, right?
You will need, yes, you will need 2/3 of members of Parliament to do it. And by the numbers, the NDC has constituted itself into a supermajority.
In fact, you put it right there. Let's look at what the numbers are saying. Before we even come to that, let's go to that and come back to that chart. You put it right there. In terms of forming a quorum, it simply means that with 184 members of Parliament of the NPP, of the NDC, they can actually form a quorum,
right,
without a minority. And when it comes to passing ordinary bills, they need at least 185 members of Parliament.
More than half.
They have that.
Right.
So they will possibly be able to pass ordinary bills without the minority. And constitutional amendments, if they want to do any form of constitutional amendment that are not entrenched in the Constitution, they will need 2/3. That brings the number to 184. And currently, they have that organic 2/3 majority in Parliament, so they can do that. And many have said that with this kind of majority, Then the conversations around the LGBTQI plus bill and other things will be coming on board very soon, and other bills that have been submitted to Parliament, because Ghanaians are saying we've given the NDC supermajority and you need to work with it. But before the 184, we try to understand, has it ever happened before?
No, it has never happened.
It has never. In fact,
except in 1992, where the MPP decided
not to participate,
they would not participate in the parliamentary election, so it became a one-sided parliament.
In fact, if you are looking at it on the tangent of an election where both political parties contested, then the closest will be 1996 and 2016. But all of this did not get each of the political parties two-thirds majority. And so this becomes unprecedented in our Fourth Republic. See how close it was between 2000 and 2012, where the distribution in Parliament was very close between the NPP and the NDC, until 2020 gave us a hint that we could have something we call even a hung Parliament. And we all saw what went on in that moment, the passing of the e-levy, controversial e-levy, and other things in 2020. I mean, that makeup of Parliament also happened. Then in 2024 election, 2025, we're not talking about something different, where a political party has organic two-thirds majority, where they have majority two-thirds, and they are not getting the remaining members from the independent side of Parliament. But away from the numbers, what can they do in terms of with their two-thirds majority? Impeachment of the president is number one, but definitely
it will not happen.
They will not impeach John Mahama. They can also amend non-entrenched constitutional provisions, and then also approve or extend state of emergency and all of that. They can do that, override the presidential veto, of which I know they will not do because it's Mahama in the seat and he is their president. But beyond the numbers, this has also changed the current makeup, the female distribution in Parliament. Before, it was 39 members of Parliament who were female in Parliament. With a swearing in, we are talking about 40, which equals what we saw in 2020. Let's look at the percentages. Now we are talking about 15% members of Parliament actually being female. And if you look at the regional distribution, the fact that she won in a constituency that is in the Greater Accra region simply makes the Greater Accra region currently the region with the highest number of female MPs. 9 of them coming from the Greater Accra region, followed by the Ashanti, Central, Western, and Eastern, and the rest follow. So the Ewurabena Aubynn story has changed a lot of things. That's changed the makeup of Parliament, and it has also added a different texture or color to the gender mix.
But it looks like there are some regions, they have no female representation in Parliament.
Absolutely. In the northern part of the country, you have regions that there are no female representation. In fact, in the northern region proper, I don't see any female representation. In there. I don't see anyone for Upper West as well. No female representation. And then also, the 2024 election was interesting, where some big giants who were females were actually kicked out, and they've been replaced by newbies. Ewurabena Aubynn herself is a newbie, where experienced hands like Eslo Usu and Co. all left Parliament. The woman who got beaten.
I just have to realize all of them left Parliament.
Not coming back.
How Kumsin and the likes.
In fact, unfortunately, I mean, she's not coming back to Parliament. But interestingly, we've been able to find newbies who are about 120 of the current MPs that we have, and majority of them, I mean, a significant component of them being females. Now we are talking about female, 40 of them. We didn't really drop from what we saw in 2020, but it will be interesting to see how this number will be maintained or increased in the upcoming 2028 general election.
Well, thank you so much for the breakdown. Quite interesting, as we have it on your screens. And of course, we're going to do some analysis. We're going to explore the implications of this. Remember also that we got a conversation with a lawyer for Kevin Thaler. Today before the Supreme Court, the court revoked the arrest warrant. And so we've got that conversation also coming your way shortly. But let's try and make sense of what we have on our hands as far as Parliament and the numbers are concerned. Joining me via phone is the Majority Chief Whip, a Member of Parliament for South Dai, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamepo. Honorable, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
opportunity to greet your viewers and also to say that I'm privileged to have joined you.
Great. And also joining us is the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Draman. Dr. Draman, good to see you and good afternoon.
Okay.
Right. So soon I will take our viewers through the article you wrote about hung parliament, from hung parliament to supermajority, what Ghana's political shift means for journalism. But let me start with the majority chief whip. And I'm guessing that, Honorable Roxanne, your work as whip now becomes very easy. Knowing very well, you've got the numbers. And so running around, calling people, sending texts, I'm guessing that because of the numbers, it becomes much easier. Isn't it so?
Well, I wish I can say yes, because if it were that simple, then my work should have been easier with 187. Because even with 183 plus the 4 minority independent members who are caucusing with us, it still gives me a super majority of 187. But being, the life of an average MP is a complex one. They are in Accra, which is the metropolitan capital that houses the National Assembly today. And at the same time, they are being compelled to attend to emergencies in the constituencies that are both far and near. So you have them oscillating between the House of Parliament and the constituencies, sometimes also attending to emergency of constituents who are found somewhere within the metropolitan Accra. So it's very complex, so you must be on your toes as a whip all the time. Even yesterday, I'm sure you must have heard on the news that somehow the minority frustrated us from
the Mahama
proceeding. Yes, Mahama Care. But that wasn't technically a frustration because there were 2 reports. We took the one on the determination of whether or not the bill be taken under certificate of urgency. Then the mother report was to have been taken, but we were tired. The numbers were such that we were supposed to return this morning, not in the afternoon.
Right.
Because we had engagement this afternoon, Professor Mills Memorial Lectures, and the minority also had their schedule, their national meeting. So, but people didn't, it rather went out as though we were frustrated. So all this combined, it makes the work difficult. But I'm only comforted that I have one more addition to my number to work with. So on that note, I would say yes, it makes the work a bit easier.
But what exactly does it mean, or what positive does it give you in terms of prosecuting government business on the floor?
Yes, like your friend in the studio did analysis. It gives me a comfortable 92 that's the commencement schoolroom, to be able to start business. And then I also will have a comfortable 3/5 of the house, which is like 137, 38, to be able to take major decisions. Then a super majority take the 2/3 decision threshold. But in all this, the work of Parliament is not one-sided. It's not unidirectional. You still need the other side. However minor they are, however small they are, they are still important. So in Parliament, we still build consensus on a lot of the things that we do, so that we are not only carrying the other side, we are carrying the entire nation along in terms of policy formulation, legislation formulation, and enactment, debates on matters of national interest, and any such major matter that will come before us. You need to carry both sides of the divide along.
All right. We'll come back to some of the key matters that are of concern to some other people. Let me bring in Dr. Rashid Draman with ASEPA. Dr. Draman, I'm just reading through the article you posted on the ASEPA Africa blog, well, if you like. You make the point that unchecked supermajority power carries serious risks. First is constitutional overreach. You say that the NDC can now push through amendments unilaterally without national consensus. You also make the point that this will weaken legislative scrutiny, where Parliament risks becoming a rubber stamp for party policy. You are also making allusion to marginalization of dissent, where minority MPs, critical media, and civil society actors may be sidelined or silenced. And then finally, shrinking civic space, where voices that challenge authority could face increased legal, financial, or political pressure. If you can try to let us understand why you think these are so.
Yes, so Elton, thank you very much, and good afternoon to the Chief Whip. I think the point I'm making here is, if you read the entire article, the supermajority that we currently see in our Parliament, I think is good, is victory for the NDC. But our point is that looking at what happens around the world, I mean, where in parliaments that have supermajorities, if that supermajority doesn't get properly checked and monitored at all times, there is a potential risk. So I think that's the emphasis, the potential risk. And I hope that the NDC, with the numbers in Parliament, I mean, doesn't fall for that potential risk, because like the Whip rightly indicated and then your data person indicated, they have all the numbers. So they can form a quorum. That is if the Chief Whip is able to mobilize I mean, all the troops behind him. They can amend the Constitution, I mean, articles that are not entrenched and so on, because they have the threshold and so on. So all these require all of us to be vigilant and to raise issues at all times. And hopefully, if we have an NDC government that is listening, if we have a majority leadership bench that is listening, and let me say, I have a lot of, I can comfort myself, at least based on some of the recent happenings. Right. We saw the bill that was recently withdrawn because civil society said, look, I mean, this is not right.
The Scholarship Authority bill.
Exactly. The NDC could have gone ahead. I mean, there could be a lot of noise, but they have the numbers. They could have gone ahead to bulldoze it through and get it passed. So essentially, my point is this supermajority can be used as a force for good. We are not going to see a lot of the gridlock that we saw in the 8th Parliament, where there are allegations about even people having to be flown from abroad just so that there could be the numbers for business to happen and so on. They don't have to worry about that. I mean, they can easily form a quorum. They can pass government business without any gridlock. But if it goes unchecked and if it is used as a force for bad, if I can put it that way, then it becomes problematic. And that is where the risks begin to pose themselves. And so we are saying, I think we need a vigilant minority, which is going to be good for our democracy. But most importantly, we need a vigilant media.
Right. And
the media, not just necessarily reporting the headlines.
Right.
You have to go beyond the headlines and tell us why certain decisions are being taken. And also, you also have to understand, because sometimes the reportage, lacks depth and lacks analysis.
Right.
You have to understand how Parliament functions. Your people have to understand the Constitution, the standing orders, so that at least at all times they can point to the governance failures that could potentially be seen in the operations of the House, given the numbers that exist. In brief, vigilance at all times.
Right, but Dr. Draman, even though the NDC may have the numbers, nothing is stopping the MPP from having their say. And so,
yes, indeed. I mean, the MPP can always have their say, but You remember in the 8th Parliament, I mean, there was a lot of negotiation and a lot of dialogue. So, for instance, let me just use the e-levy as an example. If the e-levy comes in today, and then the NDC is bent on having its way in terms of the percentage and so on. I mean, they don't require the support of the other side to pass a bill like that. So the MPP can have all that, say that they can have. In the end, the NDC would have its way. That's not what we are talking about. I think we are talking about the fact that, yes, the MPP would have its say, but we just want to make sure that those numbers that Ghanaians handed over, those numbers are not abused. Those numbers are used as force for good. A lot of articles in the Constitution are candidates for review. I mean, they have the numbers now. I think those that are not entrenched, I think we want to see if they have to do anything, tinker with the Constitution, they can use those numbers, and Ghanaians will be very pleased with that. But when those numbers are used to pursue the interests of the NDC, that is where the supermajority becomes problematic and poses a risk to our democracy and the fact that our democracy is not self-sustaining. I think we all have to work to make sure that this project works for our country.
Let me again bring in Honorable Dafiabepo. So, Honorable, the numbers you have gives you the power to, as it were, push through amendments to the Constitution. Already, the government has sponsored a group to listen to the views of Ghanaians and to fine-tune ways that we can better the 1992 Constitution. And I wonder whether, as a lawyer, you think that the opportunity presents itself to do something on your own in Parliament as far as the 1992 Constitution because of the numbers on your side.
Yes, it does. It does gives us great comfort to initiate, for instance, bills to effect amendments to the Constitution. So it's not only government that should bring a bill for an amendment of the Constitution or an existing law. So, for instance, where we feel strongly about a provision in the Constitution, which is not an entrenched provision, we can safely initiate the processes and effect the amendments. Then, again, if you look at, for instance, the Public Financial Management Act, 2016 Act 921, Section 100 is to the effect that when the executive is bringing legislation to Parliament, it should be accompanied by a fiscal impact analysis.
Right.
Now, that law is not clear because when you say legislation, subsidiary legislation is also legislation. Do you understand the point?
Right, right.
So if you want to burden agencies that are bringing instruments, legislative instruments, to also go and seek fiscal impact analysis from the Ministry of Finance before they can bring instruments, then we can never work in that regard.
True.
So, for instance, I intend to bring an amendment to amend that provision to be very clear regarding the fact that it should be only bills that will lead to parent acts that should be accompanied by fiscal impact analysis. And so you need the numbers to be able to do things like that, even if you want to use the route of the private members bill to be able to do so. So that's an example that, for instance, I've given you, that the supermajority that we have now is to encourage our members, especially the backbenchers, to use a lot of tools at their disposal to be able to do their work as an MP, also to exercise oversight over the executive, and to essentially get the opportunity to streamline a lot of our legislations that are very hazy and clumsy and provisions that create mischief.
So basically that, because I know you are passionate about issues that require some kind of, second attention as far as the 1992 Constitution is concerned. Apart from I don't know whether there are few that you may want to share with us and why it's necessary to have a second look.
Hello?
Yes, Honorable.
Yes, I didn't get
no,
the
so
question.
I was saying that I know that you are passionate about issues relating to the Constitution and the need for us to have some kind of fine-tuning. I'm saying apart from what you just raised, are there other areas that perhaps with the numbers available, it will be time for us to have a second look?
Yes, for instance, where if you look at the term of office for district chief executive, I went to court to seek a constitutional interpretation because if you recall, when President Akufo-Addo got re-elected for a second term, he directed all his former DCs and MCs to stay in office. So I said that no, for the president couldn't have directed his DCs to remain in office and that they should not take policy decisions, if you recall the letter that the chief of staff sent around. So I challenged this directive. And the Supreme Court was of the opinion that, well, the president is the appointer of the DCs, but the DCs' appointments, their nominations, as it were, is subject to a prior approval of the various or the respective district assemblies.
Right.
And so to that extent, their nominations are no longer those directly of the president. Their nominations are now subject to some control by the various district assemblies. So their terms of office is not coterminous to the term of office of the president. You saw the kind of distinction they try to draw.
Absolutely.
So it means that a president can, so for instance, if by the provision of the Supreme Court, the interpretation of the Supreme Court, if the president had nominated some DCs in December or November last year, by the Supreme Court's interpretation, those DCs will continue to stay in office. Even NDC is the one that is in government until the president fires them. And I thought that that will be problematic. So we need to go back and rephrase that provision to ensure that the life of the term of a district chief executive will be coterminous to that of the appointing authority, which is the president. But in any case, we are also thinking of amending the provision in its entirety to make sure that the office of the district chief executive become an electable one.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So these are the kind of legislative work that you can put the supermajority that we have now to for the benefit of the generality of the people.
All right. We'll leave it here for now. Honorable Dafiame, thank you so much. He is the majority chief whip in Parliament on the side of the NDC. Let me conclude with Dr. Rashid Drama. So, Doctor, you've heard Roxham is already making proposal to put before the House. I don't know whether you have a reaction on that. Before I run you through some of the pointers, you think that if we are able to go by it, even though the NDC may have the numbers, we'll still keep them in check.
Yeah, so I think that's very good. I'm happy to hear from the Chief Whip. I mean, some of the proposals that I think, as I mentioned earlier, when there are so many candidates for amendment in our Constitution, and I think he has touched on some of them, and that's very, very encouraging. At least we didn't hear anything like what is going around in the social media that the numbers are going to be used to elongate the tenure of a president, and that will be misusing that supermajority, if I can put it out there. At least most of what we heard him list, I think, are issues that have been of concern for most democracy watchers in this country. And we want to see more of those. Use the numbers as a force for good to improve our democratic practice.
All right. And then you say that this moment calls for bold, engaged journalism, work grounded in responsibility, depth, and integrity. And this will lead to deepen political literacy, pursue stories beyond the news cycle, harness digital tools, and build coalitions. You think that the media has a huge role to play because of the situation we have on our hands?
Yes, indeed. I mean, I think just like you said, I mean, the minority is always going to have its say. But beyond that, I think we need a broader coalition, the media, civil society, in order to support the minority. I mean, where we think maybe the course that is being taken by the majority is not in the interest of our democracy. And that is where I say that I think some of the issues that are outlined. But Elton, I think maybe you also forgot to mention the hurdles that are likely to be faced, particularly by the media. I think I mentioned issues of trust, and then I also mentioned issues like, what happens when journalists all of a sudden become politicians. And we have the famous story recently. I mean, 14 journalists just on the headlines in the Mahama administration. So people ask the question: can we trust that what you guys are doing is real objective journalism? When all of a sudden we see a lot of journalists being part of one government or another. So things like that. I think, and then also we know the ownership of media houses in this country. So the independence of those media houses. And then most importantly, the economics of journalists. I mean, you guys get paid very well to the extent that at least you can maintain neutrality and independence so that you can do your work and we can trust the work that you are doing and so on. So those are some of the hurdles. If you surmount those hurdles and you do some of what I indicated in my blog, I think that will help check this majority that if we leave unchecked, can derail our democracy.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. And that's Dr. Rashid Draman, Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. And of course, if you go to their website, you will come across that very interesting article on the issue of from hung parliament to supermajority, what Ghana's political shift means for journalism. And I encourage everyone to go out there and read. Your comments are welcome. Do you think the NDC will use the numbers to their advantage, and to what extent can the country police the NDC in parliament such that we'll get value for money in this democracy as far as the numbers in parliament are concerned? This is the pause. Your comments are welcome. We'll share them with the rest of the world. Now, this